right? So it tells you from the bottom, it's you protecting what you have, it's you growing what you have. And only once you have secured that base, only then you can start about creating wealth. And then after that, you preserve your wealth, you know?
Wow.
So,
Sure.
everything has a step to it. You can't just jump in and want to start.
Yo, that was powerful. That's like the Maslow hierarchy of needs of estate planning. I don't know if you can name it like that. How do This is the Entrepreneurs Chat. If this is your first time, thank you for joining us, man. We're just a group of entrepreneurs who are meeting every weekday between 8 and 9 to talk about different aspects of business, different aspects of entrepreneurship, and different aspects of wealth building, guys, wealth preservation, building legacy, so that we can empower and inspire each other. Zanele, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Henry. Morning, everybody. I'm okay. Hope everybody's well.
Awesome, man. So, for the purposes of those who don't know you, if you can kindly introduce yourself, who you are, what your company does, and we can take it from there.
Okay. Morning, everybody again. My name is Zanele M. I go by the name of Zanele M across the socials. So if you were to look for me in Instagram, you would have to look up Zanele M underscore the broker. On TikTok, I'm also Zanele M underscore the broker, and on Facebook, it's just simply Zanele M. I'm an insurance broker, so I do financial planning. I assist my clientele with finding the right financial products that they may need to basically just try and mitigate and minimize the risk that they face in their lives and with their families and businesses. I'm the founder and the managing director for an insurance brokerage that's based in Hillcrest, and it goes by the name of Regenerate Insurance Brokers. You would also find that across the socials as Regenerate Insurance Brokers. We also have a website, www.regeneratebrokers.co.za. And yeah, so basically, I'm an insurance broker. I do financial planning as well, but I'm also very passionate about sharing financial education with my platform, on my platforms. And I think specifically this stems out from the fact that my target market, or the people that I work with, are everyday average households and individuals and business people. And obviously it's people, people of color, black people specifically. And the reason that I always say that's my chosen target market is because I've always felt that when I look within the black households and you look at scenarios and incidents and things that happen, you find that a lot of the things are things that could have been eliminated, controlled, or minimized through actual financial planning. So I always felt like certain scenarios playing out in our households is because of the lack of our understanding of financial products that are already in the market that we could be able to use to better plan, mitigate, minimize risks that we face on everyday life. So that's basically Zanele, and that's what I'm about.
This issue that you're talking about the work you do, I think it's very important in the sense that, there cannot be any, wealth creation without,
Yeah.
proper ways and systems of passing down that wealth, generationally. It
Yes.
can't happen. It can't happen. That's why, as you are saying here, as a people, we keep on, we keep on being last, because you're
Mm,
always
mm,
starting and stopping. You don't
yes.
know where your father left off. You don't know where your grandfather left off. It's always you starting again, starting
Yes.
afresh. And it's a big problem. I mean, last week we had someone come on. It's not even about wealth. I mean, sometimes, at the basis of it, wealth creation is another stage, but just, providing. I think a lady came on and she was saying, her uncle is kicking out of the house, which she was staying with her granny, and part of the
Yes.
will, she is actually on the will, that they should share this house, and it's really goes down even to the fundamentals, shelter. That,
Mm,
what, if we don't get this right, we can't pass on even adequate shelter to the people that we love, let alone wealth. And I think it's very important. I mean, as entrepreneurs here, if we're thinking about even wealth creation, legacy, these are the basics, right? These are the this is the crux of this is the foundation. Without this knowledge and the work that you do, then that is virtually impossible.
yes. No, definitely. I think, as specifically people of color in our country, the one thing that I do believe that we still have to work very hard towards is understanding how the other races that we live within and around and with have gotten ahead of us to some extent, right? And a
To a
big
great
part of
extent.
that is, sorry.
To a great extent.
Yeah, to a very great extent. But I think part of it is understanding that what we are doing now and whatever you are building on now, the aim is not for it to end with you. So I think a lot of the times one of the things that we are still battling with as people of color is that we want that instant gratification. I want to be working hard and earning the big salary, and I want to be blowing it on all the luxury and living the life. And there's completely nothing wrong with that if it is within your means and you can afford it and you've got your stuff sorted. But my mind always goes back to, if I now am somebody in that position and I've managed to be able to create a certain lifestyle for my family, for my children, if something now happens to me as the breadwinner who is affording this lifestyle that I've gotten my family accustomed to, and I don't have estate planning in place, efficient estate planning in place, at the back of my mind, the question becomes, what is the plan for my family beyond me? If something is to happen to me in the next month, the person who was bringing in the bacon at home is no longer there to bring in that bacon. So now, this house that I have in the burbs that still is being paid a bond for, the private schools that I'm sending my kids to, the lifestyle that we are living, what then happens to all those things? And in essence, what it says is that if you are living in the now and you are not planning and making provisions for the future beyond you, for your children specifically and your family, then you are in essence saying that when I pass away, you guys are on your own. You're gonna have to
Mm.
do what you can to try and maintain this lifestyle. And most of the time, the reality is when that breadwinner is no longer in the picture and no longer available, able to provide that lifestyle, um, life will regress. You hear horror stories where the husband who maybe was the affording breadwinner and had maintained a certain lifestyle for his family passes away. Things were not planned efficiently. You are left the wife with the wife is left with the children, and she cannot maintain the lifestyle that they lived. And you find scenarios where the house is being repossessed, the cars are being repossessed. They are having to find an alternative way or alternative accommodation to live in. And scenarios become that you find the wife having to take the children and move back to her mother's house, right? So
Mm.
at the end of the day, to me, it just says it's not the wisest way to go about life if you are not going to be putting those kind of plans in place, because we all know that eventually life does happen, guys. Nobody knows when things are gonna bomb out. Nobody knows when they're gonna go. So to kind of stick your head in the sand and just live in the now and not make those provisions, it really is a sense of being in denial, and it's a very dangerous way of living your life. Like I think we're all different as people. We all have our priorities and things that we like. I'm not a very brand conscious person. And I understand that there are people who do really like those kind of luxuries in life. But to me, it doesn't make sense that I could be owning every luxury item and I don't have those kind of plans in place for my family and for my children. Because in essence, I'm blowing the money that is meant to be for my children one day. That's how I look at it from my aspect.
No, awesome. No, that's so true. That's so true. And Misty Minds, thank you for the likes. Sloni, thank you for the likes. CPG, Kohaba, thank you for the likes. Guys, just like the live. You can just tap on your screens as many times as you want. TikTok does not stop you at all. And Lani, thank you for the gifts. Misty Mind, Mr. Positive, thank you for the gifts. Mr. Sarcasm, thank you for the gifts. Good morning to you. Lani says, to some extent, honestly, economical marginalization is a big factor, which is true, man. It's true, but I think it's up to us to sort of put things in place to sort of
Mm,
redress those things. I mean, the government has done what it could do, or whatever liberation movements. Now the ball is in our court. The ball is in our hands to actually do something. Dakalo, good morning. And I think as we just now going into the topic and what we are talking about today with regards to the winding up of estates, guys. If this is your first time here, please join our WhatsApp group, Success Inspiration. The link is in the bio in my link tree. The group says Success Inspiration, not Teaching England. And you can know when we go live, who we go live with. I know tomorrow we're going to be talking about what to look out for as a first-time home buyer with Mpho Mketwa of Indigo Beans Property Group. So if you are considering that, or you are into the property space, you want to come through and for that live. So join our WhatsApp group. The link is in the bio. Good morning, Misty Minds. So I think one thing for sure is that we just need to get better, right? Especially in
definitely.
situations whereby, as you are saying, in family setups, even as entrepreneurs, when one is married, you're in a business and whatever it is, I think it's vitally important, guys, and to
Mm,
just include your spouse, you know, whether they need to know what's going on, right? If this
yeah.
person is going to be, if this is like a family unit and they're going to be taking care of your kids at a later stage or the family, they need to know what's going on. And you know what? There are a lot of people, Zanele, and a lot of us are working on this. It's just that, you know, your wife doesn't even know, or your husband doesn't even know how your business works. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Because they might have their own career, but how about if that fails, right?
Yes.
What's going to
Definitely.
happen? What's going to happen to the family? So there are some
So
people who, even if the other spouse dies, the breadwinner, they don't even know what to touch. They didn't even know how this business was working. They don't even know
yeah.
anything, right? They don't
Yes.
even know anything. That thing will fall to the ground in a matter of months, you know,
Yeah.
because they don't know. And I mean, you've got those situations whereby someone dies and these, so-called partners now come, the partners of the husband or the partner saying that, no,
Mm,
actually,
mm,
this person owed us so much. Actually,
yeah.
and we've heard those stories. They come and
No,
they
you
take
hear them all
everything.
the time. You
No,
hear
this
them
guy
all the
owed
time,
us,
Henry.
he owed us because there are no partnership agreements, there are no invoices, there's nothing, right?
Mm,
And they come and take everything. Literally coming before someone is buried and coming to take things, taking
yeah.
equipment, taking these things and saying that no, he owed us, he hadn't paid for this or whatever it is. And as Jack is saying, as men, we must stop being secretive. That's a big one. A lot of us are guilty of
Yes.
this.
A very
A
big
lot of
one.
us, myself included, we're working on this. And it's
But
true.
sometimes also I've come to notice, and I mean, I'm in business myself. My husband is also in business, but I've also come to notice that when it comes to relationship and specifically people that are both in business, the huge part is communication. If you get to
Mm,
the point where you are able to establish your communication channel between the both of you, then the other is never really going to be out of the loop. It's with the glitch, I'll say, in how you guys communicate then the other person could be left behind. Because, for example, if your communication model is effective, then to some extent, as you are sitting together, whether it's winding up the day after you've put the kids to bed, I would think that the partner should be to, oh, today a scenario happened, A, B, and C happened at work, and etc., etc. And as the other partner, you're probably going to want, oh, what led to that, and how did you resolve it? And I think through having and creating pockets like that within your day allows you to be a part of your partner's business and have at least an overview or understanding in terms of the operations of the business. You might not always know the nitty gritty day to day, but it'll allow you to have an understanding in terms of the kind of problems the business experiences, the kind of wins the problem is, the business is at. But also a very important part of that, and I think this could be a topic for another day, Henry, and I think it will be exceptionally important for your platform as we got entrepreneurs in this chat. It's business succession planning. And I found that a lot of my clientele, and when I say that, I'm going to say people of color, you find that they do not always know all the, the financial related products and experts that are able to assist us in, in formalizing our businesses and ensuring that our business could have the continuation beyond us. So hi, yeah, just to give a brief highlight of it. So business succession planning is basically you planning for your business in the aspect where you may be at a point where maybe you are disabled, you are not longer be able to be part of the operations of running of your business, or in your death. So within business succession planning, you are able to it allows you to be able to select a person that will stand in your place when you are not longer able to be part of the business. So, in essence, it actually forces you as the business owner to start thinking about the person that you are going to nominate to say, this is a person who's going to take over this business one day when I'm no longer around. And part of that is the financial implications of that. So, with you running your business on a day to day and knowing the operations and the costs, etc., it's it's a very specialized skill set, which the person that you've nominated cannot walk into your business and be able to understand and know in a month, for example. So the financial aspects we then look at is the fact that your business is going to be disadvantaged for a certain amount of time, whilst the person that you've nominated to take over the operations of the business is still training or building the skill set to better understand the business and etc etc. So during the time frame while the person is building themselves to that skill sets required to run the business, there's a financial implication that the business will be tarnished. It'll be affected in one manner or the other. So part of it is what you would do is you would actually the business will take out debt cover in the business owner's name. So then what happens is that if that person, so it'll be death cover and you'll probably build it up with disability cover as well. But if that business owner is now disabled, for example, there is a certain lump sum amount of money that will be released and paid to the business so that the business can be able to still carry its operations while this new person nominated is still building up the skill set to then take over the operations. Or alternatively, if the business owner passes away, there'll be a lump sum of money that will also be released and paid to the business, allowing the business to survive during the period whilst the nominated person is building up their skill sets or training to take over the operations. So that's just a very high level highlight of what business succession planning is, but it's a very integral planning and financial product that you have to have in place if you're a business owner and if you say you want to pass your business down and you want your business to survive beyond you, basically.
Awesome, awesome. I think that's a live that we can definitely do another day. And in terms of
Yeah.
also key man insurance and all these things, I think they
Yes.
tie in together, which people need to know about. People need to know about these things. And yeah, Dakalo, thank you for the likes. Sunday Favor, thank you for the likes. Misty Minds, thank you for the likes. Misty Minds was actually saying, great topic, exactly how I'm feeling, and I'm literally pushing meetings with my husband in it on the weekends. It's very important, guys, very important.
It's
And
very
yes,
important.
that key person or that person who succeeds in your business could be your spouse, it could be someone else. We just need to think about these things, right? Casella. Okay, guys, we're going to open requests a bit later on as after we've got into the topic of the day. Norman, thank you for sharing the live. CPG says over communication. Yes, it's very important. It's very important. So yeah, let's talk about this issue of the the key things that people need to know. As estates are being wound down and all these things. As I was saying earlier on, this affects everyone one way or the other. Either you are a beneficiary, potential beneficiary, would be beneficiary. Either you are in a family situation whereby people or relatives are looking to you to assist in resolving some sort of situation, or number three, you could be the person who is the one who's actually passing down assets and an estate to others. So I think one way or the other, everyone on this live, you're going to be affected by this. Am I right to say that, Zanele?
No, definitely, definitely. It's definitely is something that I think everybody on this platform, if you're a business owner of any form, it's definitely something that you need in your basket. And I think if anybody hasn't gotten the chance as yet to be able to do that, you could always just reach out to me. You can email me. You can send me a DM, send me your contact number, and we can get you that help and get that set and put in place for you.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about the estate, winding down of estates.
Yes. Okay. So I think if we're talking about estates and the winding up of estates, I think the first thing we need to understand is what is estate planning and what is then estate winding up. So when we say estate planning, it basically touches on many areas, but it involves not only just planning for death, but it's also planning during your lifetime, which is very important. So we are planning whilst we are alive how we're going to structure our estate, and beyond our death, what then will happen to our estate. So it actually gives you so much power over your assets. It gives you so much power in directing how your assets will be passed down as well, and how ultimately to go towards creating your generational wealth. And I always feel that as individuals, especially people who are entrepreneurs, there's always this burning fire that we always want to be leaving some form of legacy for our families. And for somebody who is in business, business is so challenging, guys. You constantly are figuring things out. You constantly are jumping hoops and problem solving. And I always say that it's a lot that you go through as an entrepreneur, and for you to just let all that die with you is such a waste of time. It's such a
So
waste of
sad. Mm.
knowledge. It's sad. And whereas when you've attained all the experience and knowledge and skill sets, you have a way to ensure that you pass it down to your family. It becomes something of benefit to your family, and maybe it's something that could stay in your family line for generations after you are gone. And somebody or one of your great grandchildren could be able to say, I now stand and have managed to play my part in building this company to the level it is, because I have a great grandfather who planted the tree, and I am the beneficiary of the shade of the tree. You know what I mean? It's such a powerful thing. So I think estate
No. I
planning,
mean,
honestly,
it's so
it's
powerful.
planning.
No, I'm
It's
saying it's
such a
so
powerful
powerful. I mean,
thing.
each and every one of us right now, we're like, hey, but hey, my grandfather, hey.
You know, and I read something that was very interesting the other time. I read something that was very interesting the other time, Henry, that I think it's okay. I'm just going to come out and say it. With the Caucasian people, a lot of the white people, you find that you would find great children who are named after their great grandfathers, right? And
Mm.
you find that if you were to ask the child, they know of the history or how legendary their great grandfather father was, or something of their sort. But it was because the great grandfather did something that actually went on to impact the generations beyond him. And I find that a lot of the times for us Black people, I've got limited knowledge of my great great parents. You know, I may
Mm.
maybe know that it was Gokumputi or Gokubani kind of stuff, but that's probably because maybe I know in Zulu kuthiwa yithakazelo. Mekuthiwa kushawa iy'thakazelo, you'll hear somebody's name, and then as you grow older and you are curious, you ask, who was this person? And then you are told. But there is nothing that you can point to that you can say, I'm a direct beneficiary, or
Like,
I
yeah.
was
Oh,
given a
we don't
higher
even have.
footing in life because this
Mm.
great grandparent of mine did something. And if we were to change this trajectory and we were to change this narrative, can you imagine how much pride would be in your lineage in the future generations to say, my great grandfather was Henry, you know, and Henry went on to do A, B, and C, and blah blah blah, and he broke, you know, he built this agency, and we've got multiple generations who've passed through the same agency, and it has now been built to this, you know, this huge entity. But it was because Henry planted the seed, and it is
Mm.
such a powerful thing that I think it's something that us as Black people need to start thinking in the lines of that, you know, what we're doing now is not for the benefit of now, it's just to put bread on the table now. Yes, we need to put bread on the table, but at the end of the day, there has to be a forward thinking in terms of how we do things, in terms of how we plan and structure for our future generations. You know, for me, I don't want my kids and probably hopefully my future generations to have to start from the bottom as I had to, you know, because I can see the value that if, for example, any of my parents, the time that had passed away, if there was some form of inheritance that was released at that point of time, right now being a parent, I can see that how that could have impacted my family. It could have impacted my finances. It could have mean that I could have been able to pay off our bond sooner. It could mean that I could have been able to have my educational plans for my children set out right from the start, you know. So I think it's just it's us tuning and and changing the way we look at financial planning and the way we look at our future generations. You know, there is no reason for your children to have to suffer and go through the things that you've had to, and it's only you who can make that change.
No, it's so true. I mean, the gap is. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, if I always, you know, when I speak to my friends, you know, just a simple analysis, you know, where you get out of you know, vast. Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. Dudu, thank you for the likes. Sunday Favor, thank you for the likes. Josephine, thank you for sharing the live. Dudu, good morning. Sakanipo, good morning. Good
Hi,
morning. How are you
Dude.
doing?
That's my
Yeah.
sister.
Ooh, Dudu.
Dude is my sister, yes.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Good to have you on the chat. So yeah, I was just saying, just a simple like example. You know, after you're done with varsity, right? I mean, it's just typical. You know, you're done with varsity, and let's say you start working in a graduate program or whatever it is, and you know you are, you know, with you know, let's say you're with white person, for the lack of a better term, or let's say someone else who had better. It could even be a black person, you know, with their family, which was, you know, which had their stuff and whatever it is, that these things sorted out. But imagine, you know, you are typically starting, let's say, in a place like Joburg, you know,
Yeah.
whatever, Durban, in the city, and imagine you are both getting, let's say, 20,000 rands a month, you know,
Mm.
and they already have a car. They're already
Yes.
coming with the car to varsity, right? They
Yes.
already got the car in high school. You are going to start getting a car installment. They probably already are renting, have got an apartment where they stay. You are renting.
Yeah.
Already they've got a, let's just say, let's just say, very conservatively, 10,000 over you.
Mm.
10,000 rands. Because they don't have a car
Definitely.
installment. They don't have
Yeah.
rent they're paying.
They
How
don't
can
have
you
black
ever beat
tax.
that?
They don't
Yeah,
have
I
black
mean,
tax,
plus
Henry.
that.
You know, they don't have black tax. And I
How can
think
you ever, how can you
you can
ever
never,
beat that
the
person?
person is 10 miles ahead of you. You can never catch up to that. And I think, those are the realities that we have to look at and start just, nitpicking the little things and figuring how do we solve this? How do we change the narrative for this? So even when you look at black tax, I think a lot of people know about black tax. It's a very popular topic, and etc. etc. And I always talk about that as well. And the person goes, I had to go, I had black tax, and because I came from the family where I was the first graduate, the first professional. Automatically, there were siblings after me that I had to help, go through tertiary. I had to send money for groceries back home. I had to take, etc. etc. So now, as graduates, newly graduated people earning the same salary, starting out in your career, the child that already comes, or the graduate that comes from a family where there was some form of financial planning or they have their things sorted out, and you come from a family where they didn't have that opportunity, right? That person is not having to send any money back home because everything is taken back home, is taken care of back home. Their parents had ensured that they were saving enough towards their retirement. So when they retired, they are not dependent on any children. They are able to buy the groceries, they are able to maintain the little expenses that they still have at their retirement phase. So that means for that graduate coming from that family, there is no money that they need to be sending back home to take care of anybody, right? That person, their salary is going 100% to them. Let's just say that they weren't even, they weren't gifted with a car, an apartment, and whatever from home. They're just having to work for their stuff. That person will go so much further financially as opposed to the other graduates. And that's just the unfortunate reality. Because even from the first time that they start working, let's say it's at the age of 24, they work for 2 3 years, build their profile, they are able to buy the first apartment, right? After the apartment, they could be able to buy the first car. During the time frame for the other graduates, they are battling because you've got your expenses as somebody who's working. You still have to have money for transport. You probably can't even buy a car because most of the money you are still trying to build back home so that there's a proper family structure. And most of the time, these are things that are expected of you, even though it's not compulsory and nobody will say it directly to you, but it's almost like stuff that you already know, that if you are at a better footing, you are already expected to improve your family home. There's gonna be the groceries. Your parents are probably retired, there's no income at home, you got siblings after you. And I think for anybody it would never sit nice that you could be living fine and you see your siblings are struggling. You're gonna have that guilt, or some form of guilt, for the lack of a better word, that I can't be here and I've got groceries in my cupboards and I'm fine and I've got a budget for entertainment where I got my friends, but I know that back home everybody's starving. You're gonna send that money. So I just feel like for us not doing the proper planning is directly impacting the potential of growth and how far our children will be able to go. That's just the bottom line. You know, you're not saving for your retirement. That's directly what you're saying, that your children are gonna have to take care of you during retirement. That is black tax, you know so it's just things
No,
that we
so
have to look at and break down and say, what can I do to be able to solve this aspect? What can I be able to do to try and mitigate and minimize any chances of this child being um yeah being placed in a certain position because I as a parent haven't done A, B, and C.
no, awesome, Sunday Favor. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the likes. And as user 118 is saying, the gap can be closed, and that's why we're here. That's why we're in this live, to say how do we close this gap and how do
Mm.
we surpass, and redress, these disadvantages, right? As you might be disadvantaged, yeah, you can do well in your career. You can
Mm.
become the CEO of some entity out there, and be getting a 20 bar bonus at the end of every year. You know what I'm trying to say? It can happen. It can happen, set up a business, but we're just saying that on average, right? How do we start changing these stories, at the end of the day, so that they become the norm? It just
Yeah.
becomes the norm. So cool. So what are some of the tools do we have when it comes to this estate planning?
Okay. So basically, when we look at estate planning, we are looking at multiple aspects of your life that we zone in and look at the risks there and try and minimize those risks. So, for example, within estate planning, we are looking at the assets that you currently hold. We look at the risks based on life. So, in essence, when you look at an individual, a working individual, the chances of you dying earlier in life, it's a risk because it affects any potential um, monetary gain, any potential success that you might have in mind. So dying early is a risk. Dying
Sure.
much later in life than anticipated is also a risk because if you, for example, live on to be 100 years, you have to
Uh-huh.
ensure that after you had retired, there is enough money that's going to be able to carry you from age 60 or 65 up until you're 100 years, right? So even dying much later in life, it's a risk that we need to mitigate. We look at your assets, the assets that you have. So I think when it comes to assets, guys, specifically the main thing to understand is that you start working, you start building your assets. So the minute you have a home, the minute you have a car, that's you building up your assets. As soon as you have your assets, the number one thing you are supposed to do is protect the assets you have. That is part of financial planning because that allows that when life does happen, when you do get into the car accident and your car is a write-off, you do not have to start again and save from scratch to buy a new car. So that
Mm.
is us minimizing or eliminating the fact that you constantly have to start again. Because believe it or not, that is something that's going to affect your financial plan. You know what I mean? So the minute that you have assets, it's protecting your assets and then it is growing your wealth. So you can't go on and jump to wanting investments and growing wealth when you haven't even protected what you already have. So
Mm.
everything
Mm.
has a
Mm.
stage in terms of how it plays out. Even when you're looking at your income generation. So you being a professional and you work and you earn 15,000 rand, and from 15,000 rand you are maybe able to get an apartment of some sort. You protect that, but to some extent the hopes and the things that you need, you probably still can't quite attain with that salary range. So part of you growing your knowledge and your skill set so that you can make and earn more money is also a vehicle for you to build your financial plan. Because if you are earning a certain salary and you realize that you are not going to be able to reach your financial goal with that salary, then it calls that you need to further your knowledge. You need to go back to study something else on the side so that you can be able to generate more income. The more income you are able to generate, the more budget you create to be able to start investing, the more budget you create to be able to start building up your wealth, building up your assets, right? So it touches on every aspect of your life, even with in terms of life specifically, as the individual. It's important to understand that as a working individual, you are the most important person in your financial journey. So even protecting your salary, so we call those
Mm.
income protection products. Even protecting your salary is important because if you are diagnosed with something and you can't work for 2 months and you are not earning an income, you are gonna lose things. You may lose your house, you may lose your car, and etc. etc. So it starts by protecting yourself, and then you protect the assets, and then we move on to building the wealth, and then we tie everything up with putting that estate plan in terms of how everything will be set up in a tax efficient manner so that if you pass away one day, it's passed down to the rightful hands in the most efficient tax manner. So by me saying efficient tax manner, I'm talking about ensuring that things are going to be passed in a way so that you're not paying more tax than you have to on your estate. And there's multiple ways. I think anybody who follows me, I've touched on this before. If you're a married person, whether you're married in community, other community, whatever, if you are a married person and you have a spouse, when you pass away and you leave your estate to your spouse, it is the greatest tax efficient way to pass down your wealth, mainly because a lot of things are not taxed if they are passed down to your spouse. There's no income tax that is charged. So it's the most efficient. And when it comes to passing your wealth to anybody but your spouse, then automatically, so for example, if it's your children, there's going to be inheritance tax that goes through your estate. So there is already a portion of the value of your wealth that is being lost from the time that you pass away, and it's been passed to a beneficiary other than your spouse.
Wow, man, that's amazing. And I think the biggest thing I took from what you've just said here is protect what you have first before you
Yes,
even think about
of
creating
growing
wealth.
wealth, you need to
Man, that's
protect what you have first.
mm, mm, mm. No, that's very key. That's very key. Man, because I think as entrepreneurs, right? It's more of like, we want to go, right? We want to
Mm,
go, and but not sort of protecting what's behind here. But as you say,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, you
definitely.
end up just starting again. You
Yes,
end up
no,
just starting
definitely.
again. And that's the big challenge, because sometimes, we want to look far ahead, but without looking at what we have here. Man, that's
Mm.
that's that's so powerful. I think, that's important.
It's
That's
it's
important.
definitely is important. It definitely is important, and I think it's one of those things that a lot of people sometimes do not realize. Um, my mind goes back because I think even in high school and tertiary, I was always studying business related qualification and courses and whatnot. But I think a lot of people here would even be familiar of, it's called Maslow hierarchy of
Hierarchy of needs,
needs.
yeah. Hmm.
Yes. If you have an understanding of that hierarchy of needs, it's almost identical to the financial one, because it goes hand in hand. The most basic things are the needs. You get your needs in place. It's food, it's shelter, it's whatnot. And from there you build on, and build on. So I think even when it comes to the financial aspect, it's it's providing for the basic, it's protecting what you already have, and then it goes on to say it's increasing your income, and after that it's only the last two top tiers, but does it become wealth creation, and the last one being
Mm.
wealth preservation, right? So it tells you from the bottom, it's you protecting what you have, it's you growing what you have. And only once you have secured that base, only then you can start about creating wealth. And then after that, you preserve your wealth, you know?
Wow.
So,
Sure.
everything has a step to it. You can't just jump in and want to start.
Yo, that was powerful. That's like the Maslow hierarchy of needs of estate planning. I don't know if we can name it like that. How do we
I'll tell
name
you
it?
now what the proper term they call it. It's just evaded my mind. Um,
Man, you can give it your own. That was so good.
yeah, yeah. But then I think the fundamental to it just becomes the sense that it's a financial planning. There's a step by step formula to it, and everybody has to start somewhere, So wherever you are, I think even for everybody here who's on this live chat right now, I would probably say it's after this live, or when you get a chance, it's you sitting down and taking register of the assets that you have, and checking that what you have is protected, and then you start your journey from there. And I always say that with financial planning, the sooner you are able to start things, the better for you, because a lot of things, especially when you're looking at things such as like your retirement planning, and another part specifically with retirement planning is that people kind of think that if I started later in life, then I'm just gonna be putting in large lump sum contributions towards my retirement. I mean, obviously, if you started later, that's probably the only alternative that you have to try and catch up to make sure by the time you retire, there hopefully is enough money to be able to sustain you. But for somebody who is at the beginning of their career, I would tell you, you could literally take up a retirement plan for 200 Rand contribution per month. But because you started earlier, you afford that money so much potential of growth, because you have to remember that when you're looking at long-term investing products such as your retirement, such as your investment products, there's other specific ones built into it. Most will have the compound interest, and compound interest just needs you to give it time. So the sooner that you are able to start, it doesn't have to be a big amount. The sooner you're able to start, you are giving it so much of fire, you are giving it so much potential for it to grow, and you will grow that nest. By the time you retire with just a 200 Rand contribution to your retirement, by the time you retire, you would have such a beautiful nest there put away for you at your retirement years. And I think it's just, I always say it's just being able to get this kind of information earlier on in life and at the start of your career. And you are able to just put these things in place. Because all of them, I think, even with your life cover, the sooner you're able to take it, the less complications you have health wise. um there's probably less chances of you having bad habits. The cheaper the rate is going to be, and a lot of them, they have the ability to, they call it future, what do they call it? They call it, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they call it built-in future cover. So what that actually means is that if I'm taking my life cover at age 25, right? And I take up 500,000 Rand at age 25, and I know that it's going to grow out throughout my years. But at the time where I am 45, and maybe you find I now have diabetes and I've got any other kind of health complications, I'm now a smoker, I wasn't a smoker at age 25. You find that some would actually even bypass full underwriting the time that I want to top up that 500,000 Rand. So if I said I wanted to now top up my life cover to be 4.5 million Rand, and then they look at you and say, but Zanele has been with us for the last 15 years. And, she took her life cover. And when she was 25, she was healthy. She was a non-smoker, etc., etc. And they literally would just quote you for the interest cover amount, but not do full underwriting. And in essence, that will save you so much time, because as we grow older, this is human nature. As we grow older, our bodies don't function as efficiently as they did when we were younger. We attract more bad habits. We end up getting diagnosed with different sicknesses. And these are all factors that affect the underwriting process that determines the premium you're going to be paying for the cover amount you want. So I think everything, the sooner you're able to get into it, the better for you, the better for your pockets, and the better for your financial plan.
Awesome, man. But as they say, the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago, and the next
Yeah.
best time is today. So if you
Yes.
haven't got it this way you started working, or you can start today, right? You can start
Mm.
today, and there will be something there. As Mr. H Jr. is saying, the important bit is to start, not wait until the day I have a lot of wealth to protect. And that's what messes up a lot of us. So, Zanele, thank you very much for joining.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
So, guys, I will post it on YouTube, Zanani. I'll post it on YouTube as soon as possible. I will post this on YouTube. Guys, subscribe to our YouTube channel. The link is in the bio. Join our Facebook group and advertise your businesses. What's most importantly, subscribe to the lives, guys. 99 rands a month. And let's get it going. So much love to everyone. Tomorrow, let's talk about first-time home buying with Mr. Paul Mketwa of Indigo Beans Property Group. Things that you want to know, buying properties for the first time, or maybe you've already bought, but you feel that, your next deal could be a bit better. Let's tune in to that live tomorrow at 8 a.m. So much love to everyone. Thank you for your support, guys. Remember, our dreams are valid. Let's keep pushing. Cheers. Bye-bye.